Alright. On the bench here, I've got an Elna little portable. And I have done a couple Elnas before, but I've never had any little one like this. So, should be exciting. We got our Elna pedal. And this plug actually looks like it's in nice shape. I don't know how they stored it, but a lot of these, the plug here is getting crunchy, or there's a real bad bend in the wire or crack of some sort. So that's nice. And it looks like I popped the back off of it, so I think, and there's a snap here. Oh, okay, look at that. Alright, and it came with bobbins, so that's good, because I don't know if I've got spare bobbins for this. Somebody left the presser foot up on it, and a bit of test fabric in it. So this is a check oil adjust. Oh, look at that. It's got a lovely storage compartment on top with 2 more bobbins in it. I wonder if the well, that's good. Let's see, and it's got the darning foot in it. Oh, and then there's a thread guide that pops out here and unfolds. Alright. Well, I know that much about it. I guess let's bobbin slides, cover slides open on the back, and bobbin out of there. And this bobbin was not threaded properly in there, so when we go to work on this, I will have to make sure to get that bobbin threaded properly in there. Let's see. I'm trying to. Looks clean. Get our old needle out. This is the Lotus SP. Oh, and here's the switch bobbin winding or stitching. Alright. Let's plug this in and see what happens. Plug it in. And our foot controller. Does this have... Okay, this controller does not have a switch on it. Some Elna foot controllers have a high-speed, low-speed switch. And I've had people complaining about how their Elna is running real slow, and it turns out the switch is what was flipped. So, alright. Ooh. That's not... This looks like our stitch length. And then we've got width. Maybe I'll need to go look at the manual on this machine. Yeah. At least it turns though. The you know, other Elnas I've had, they've got that drive tire in them so that they were not able to turn initially. But all right, well, I guess time to start checking some covers and seeing if we can get in there to start cleaning and oiling it. So get that unplugged and start with actually the head end here. There are two screws here that look like removing them will allow this door and end to come off. So we'll take these out. Okay, so the door came off the end there, and there's definitely some lint under here. And then these hinge pins hold the side, the front and rear door on. So with that end cap off, and there's a washer on either end of this, so make sure that I collect the washers off of these hinges and set those aside so that I don't drop them somewhere and lose them. And then that door edge certainly collected a lot of filth, didn't it? Now we can look in there and see all the stuff that collected underneath it. This cover's not popping off. It's got things holding it in place, so I guess we'll just put this back in, and I will see about taking the top off where this nice storage cover is, because the storage cover here has what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws in it. And that maybe is going to let us see into... this screw apparently holds this guide on, because as you can see, everything moves without that screw loosened, so don't want to remove that screw if it's not actually holding this cover on. Yep, so that 5th screw is there, and then this cover also supports the 2 snaps. So this is very clever, but also all plastic, so you got to be very delicate with this because it's an older piece of plastic, and those anchors could come out anytime. Alright, now with that storage lid off, this end snap is loose, but I don't... So we'll set that aside, and we can look inside here and see the movement inside, and all these white pieces are going to be nylon, which is not terrible, but also, man, okay. So you have to have this set to 0 in order to switch your cam stack. It's got a little lever here with a cam stack on it. And then you can set a wider stitch once you select your cam. Okay. And we're inspecting, I'm moving all this and looking to see if anything looks cracked really badly, and there is... No, that's a mold seam, okay. There looked like a crack on that plastic piece, but it's a mold seam, so call that good. Alright. And we can oil this all from the top here. And when I lift the presser foot, you can see the tensioner come out to release, so all this is working fine. Alright. Get our oil and get a drop on each side of these bearings, and then on all of these motion parts. In the front here. And I don't think that the end cap actually is going to give us more access to this, so I'm not going to worry about taking this gray end cap off anymore. I will, however, okay, my width is set to 0, make sure that I get oil on this cam follower slide. This pivot here, where there we go. And, all right. Well, gotta say, I'm liking this a lot. This is a cute little machine. Never seen one before, but if you've got one, I hope it works nice, because it seems like a pretty slick machine. It looks like the other Elnas, it kind of has the reverse built in on the stitch length, so there's a 0 in the middle, and then reverse and forward, and then it's got... I'll have to check what these are. I have a feeling this is going to be buttonhole features, but yeah, okay. All right, got oil all across the top, and like other Elnas, the bobbin is in the back side here. It looks pretty clean in there, so I'm not going to worry about getting that case out, but I will put a drop of oil in the bottom and along the edge there. So that it can work fresh oil in there. And we'll pop this end cover off just because I don't know how this looks in here. And I'm curious. The plug is attached to this panel, alright. Well, I guess we'll pop the bottom off and take a look in there from the bottom and see what we can see. And also, got to clean under the bottom anyway, so it looks like some of these screws were already loose, so... Well, from the bottom side here I can see a bit of lint that I would never get at from the top anyway, so I guess we'll get that out of there. Well, I don't have a drive problem with this machine, so I guess I'm not going to worry about how to get this end off because I don't need to get at it for any drive issues. But the motor is clearly mounted to this end plate in there. So I'm wondering if it doesn't have one of the Elna style rubber drive tires of some kind. But like I said, it seemed to drive okay. So we'll just oil the down below here and put it back together. Must have to take the hand wheel off here to get in there to access the drive tire if you need to work on it. But like I said, it seems to drive okay, so we'll just make sure we get oil on both of these lower bronze bearings here. And this is that lifetime oiling that they used to sell in the 70s. Was just the oilite bearings. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is that's a reverse link there. So yep, that's all working properly. And those bronze oilite bearings from the 70s, eventually the oil all runs out of them, but if you put new oil in them, they soak it right back up and will hold on to it again. So every 20 or 30 years, and this is the real like kind of lifetime lubrication at the beginning of that fad. 20 or 30 years you could open them up and put a little fresh oil in them, and they'd be good to go for another 20 years. But modern machines, they just tell you they're lifetime lubricated, and what they mean is however long you can use it, and hopefully you buy a new machine before it goes bad. Okay, we got some of the covers back on the Elna, and finish putting the covers back on the Elna and try it out. Machine has a front and a back cover. The back cover has a slot in it for the handle. So we'll get this one on first, and remember we have these washers on the end of the hinges here. So put a washer in, hinge on, just snap that into place, and then get our front cover. Put that tiny washer back on, pin that hinge in place. See how this side is flush and this one was pried out? I'm wondering if I can get that to go in. It's, yep. Tap with a plastic screwdriver. And then we'll get the two washers on these hinges. Put those hinge pins in. top cover snapped in place, and then these two screws. As much as I'm not entirely sold on the Elna Star, I think is the line these are, as far as being serviceable or even user-friendly, just because, and even the Supermatic, because they have that characteristic bobbin behind your work area, and I think that bobbin behind your work area is just really inconvenient. These machines are very stylish, very cleverly made, and a lot of fun to work on sometimes. But in the same way, you know, you might love working on an interesting old car or whatever. What makes it fun to work on has nothing to do with whether or not it's fun to use or practical in a lot of ways. So, yep, okay, still running there. Just bobbin winding mode. Pull our spool pin up. I'm going to say one nice thing about Elna and some of the other bobbins, they make sure that you know which way is up. So you wind it with the holes up, and you drop it in with the holes up, and they've got a solid backside. So you always know if you got the bobbin going the right way around, and get at this and peer and see if the bobbin tension looks okay. Well, we'll give it a try. This bobbin tension feels very weak, but it might be set up for that. Picked up the bobbin thread, always a good sign. Set this on maximum width, and our stitch of 1, and see. Well, the good news is catching both sides of the stitch here. Huh. And it's all, there we go. Cool. That was quick and easy. And a nice fast service on this little Elna Lotus SP. Nice little machine. If you've got one, you're lucky. It's a cute little portable, and seems to work real nice.